One of the questions I get here on Death by Bungie every once in a while is, Rich, how many shots do you get on a set of strings and cables? The answer is, I have no idea. I really don't have any idea. I don't count shots. I don't care about the number of shots that I have taken on a crossbow or on a set of limbs or on a set of strings and cables. I don't write that stuff down. I don't keep track of it, and I could not care less about the number of shots that I take with my crossbows. I count hunting seasons because I am a crossbow hunter. This crossbow right here, the Enforcer, I love the Killer Instinct SWAT X1. This crossbow is one of my favorite crossbows of all time, right? I hesitate to say my favorite crossbow of all time because Bungie might be listening. But in all seriousness, this crossbow really just suits me. It's the right, length of pull, it's the right weight, balance, the whole bit. Love to have it shoot its advertised speed or close to that, but it is what it is. Overall, this is a really solid crossbow, and I look forward to using it this year. It is on its second set of strings and cables, and one of the things that I've talked about on Death by Bungie last year in videos, when you get one of these things, you really got to pay attention to the loops around here and make sure you have the most up-to-date modern version of strings and cables. This one is an old stock. When I purchased it, I got it with coupon codes. Remember last year, people were just getting these things on the cheap. It was wonderful. It was great. And today they're back up to regular sticker price or whatever, but you can still get a good deal here and there if you look around. But these loops right here on the original version of the strings and cables was not really the right setup, and it rubbed and they wore out prematurely. Replaced them with the help of One-Eyed Archer, friend of Bungie Jim. Thank you very much. And we got the more modern ones on here. With proper lubrication, right, that Trident grease, they have worn very well. I hunted all through last season with it. I've shot it in the backyard a lot, and we're going on season number 2 with this crossbow, and the strings and cables look brand new. Like, I don't see any problems in there. With that Trident grease, make sure you glob it on. I did a video about that. You really don't want to glob it on, but you do want to put a lot of it on there and then shoot it and wipe it down with a clean cotton cloth. That's what I did, and keep it so, because that stuff will attract grease and whatnot, especially in the field. You get little hemlock needles in there and leaves and debris and stuff like that. So to keep that out of there, you got to keep it wiped down and all that good stuff. Crossbow maintenance. And with proper maintenance, I'm going on season number 2, same set of strings and cables. Everybody's happy. But this crossbow is a little bit different than other crossbows, and every crossbow is different, and you're going to get different results out of different crossbows. A lot of crossbows, when you look at them, the string is bent right over the rail. I mean, it's holding on to it tight. This one sort of floats down the center of the barrel. It's got the slot for the string to ride in, and it does have contact, I am sure, with both the top and bottom, but it's not bent right down on there. It's sort of floating down that rail. That enclosed barrel is a different sort of thing for crossbows, right? Then we have the slick black Cadillac. Look at this crossbow, huh? Considerably larger, isn't it? The cool thing about this, I can change the strings and cables on this crossbow without the help of friend of Bungie Jim. So there. I did it on my own, done a number of videos on that, kind of learned as I went with it, like everything else I have done in my crossbow hunting journey. But this crossbow, I can change the strings and cables with a dowel rod and all that sort of thing, so I can do that real easy on my own. But you can see, after our little experiment with the spine indexing of arrows, the last couple of videos that I did there last week, a rail that supposedly does not need lube, but if you look, it kind of needs something, doesn't it? Got a little bit of wear and tear on the serving here. Gonna have to get that addressed, aren't we? This has a couple of hunts in it on that string, and for me, that's the important thing. I'm not interested in shots in the backyard. I am interested in hunting experience with my crossbow. This is one where I dry fired it, so I threw that set of strings and cables away. I put on new ones. The other thing, like I was pointing out before, this one, if you look, it has a lot of tension. These cams are pulling down, right? The string is pulled down on that rail. So if you look at it, it's got kind of a lot of tension on there, and that does tend to wear that string a lot more. Okay, I don't know if there's a good angle for that or not, but so this crossbow, just one of its characteristics is you're probably going to do a little bit more work with the strings and cables, maybe. I don't know, but maybe that's just my experience. I can't tell you. Season-wise, I can get through a season with this, probably, if I was careful. But I always switch them out. What I do is I shoot all year long, and right before the season, I put a fresh string on there and zero it in, sight it in, and all that sort of thing. That's what I do with all my crossbows. So I just have extra strings and cables on hand. In the case of America's Best Bowstrings or any of those types of manufacturers, the aftermarket strings, you can ship it back to them. It's been like $7 or something to send this back to them, and then for like 20 bucks they put a new serving on it, or 12 bucks or something, they put a new serving on it and give it back to you. Pretty cool. Pretty happy with that. Now, keep in mind when you're doing that, some companies really understand this brand or this model of crossbow, and that's very important because the serving diameter is crucial on certain crossbows. So make sure you're doing it right? Or that you're giving it to someone to have that reserved. Who knows what they're doing, right? But sort of work that into the mix, into your crossbow hunting strategies. This time of year, you should be getting your servings, putting new strings and cables on, maybe. You have to put tires on a car every once in a while. You got to put a new string on a crossbow every once in a while. That's just part of the deal. And then we got the Excaliburs, right? Like this little guy right here, Bunjie Jr. This is Genevieve's crossbow. I hope she's not going to be upset that I'm handling it, but I don't think she is. She's going to be fine. But this crossbow, nice little crossbow. It's, you know, kind of on the older, slower side of crossbows these days, but it's a good representation of a recurve crossbow like the original Bunjie, right? It is a crossbow. Genevieve, you got a little string creep going on there. We got to pull that back a little bit, get that off the bumpers. That thing's resting right on the bumpers. That's no good. One thing I've experienced with the Excaliburs, and other people have different experiences, that's fine, but I can tell you that I have had a lot better success with buying strings from Excalibur right off their website instead of going to eBay or buying aftermarket strings for those crossbows. I don't know why. That's been my experience. I certainly don't have all of the experience doing this, but I can tell you that in my experience over 15 years now of hunting with the original Bunjie, buying those strings was pretty much my best option, and they wore the best, right? They performed the best. The exception to that for me, I did buy some off of America's Best Bowstrings, and I've had good success with those. Not plugging that company, not sponsored by anybody, but I can tell you, I get basically a season out of a string with a lot of regular shooting in the backyard, testing different arrows and all that stuff. Those strings, generally, I have a couple of them because I like the zombie slayer colors. You know, I match the string to the arrows, and it's fun, right? It's fun. And my cocking rope matches the arrows, and that's just what I do, right? Genevieve likes green. That's her thing, zombie green, so she's got the green strings. This is an Excalibur branded string, however. What we do with these things, proper maintenance with the lubrication, you know, lube the rail before she shoots. She does it every time. The serving on this thing looks great. You know, it's a little worn, but that thing will go through another season easy, probably 2 seasons at the rate that she uses this crossbow. So what we'll do is we have another one on hand. Okay, we have other strings, and we can get them reserved. We send them away and get them reserved and sent back, that kind of thing. Or a local shop can do that for you, or maybe you can learn how to do it yourself. Lots of people do it themselves. Probably playing with strings down the road is something I'm going to get into, right? I'm probably going to get into that. I don't know. We'll see. But, you know, on that note, I wouldn't tinker around an awful lot with the strings, because the string, this crossbow is designed to be pulling a certain amount of weight back and pushing a certain amount of weight forward, right? And you start playing with that balance, changing the thickness of the string or the material, stuff like that, you can really be asking for some trouble, right? And that's probably one of the reasons with a lot of manufacturers that if you use the wrong strings, you're voiding their warranty. So you got to be real careful of that stuff. Genevieve in this crossbow, perfect example of what shooting in the backyard is for, right? She has a lot of backyard experience, but by the same token, she has a lot of hunting experience. And her hunting experience is very positive, and it's successful because we focused on the hunting aspect of crossbows, right? We're not out there repetitively cocking and shooting and 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 cocking and shooting. We're not doing that. Instead, we use the backyard as an opportunity to prepare for our hunting experiences, and then when we go afield, execute that hunting strategy. So here's my thoughts on strings and cables. Don't look at it as though how many shots am I getting out of it, okay? It's not the number of miles on a car. It's where you've taken that car and what you use that car for. And the enjoyment you get on the way out of that car. Same thing here. That's the way I look at it. So I know I didn't answer the question as well as people would like. If you're dissatisfied with the number of shots that you're getting out of your crossbow strings and cables, call the manufacturer and ask them if it's typical or not, right? Ask them. And if they say, oh, wait, there's something wrong, then fix it. If there's not something wrong, then accept it or get a different crossbow. There's really the short answer. Either way, I hope you're enjoying Crossbow Appreciation Month. Until next time, all hail Bunjie.